The phone call came on a humid Thursday afternoon in mid-September. I was standing on the shop floor of my precision machining plant in Akron, Ohio, holding a freshly milled titanium spinal implant component. In my line of work, tolerances are measured in 10,000ths of an inch. A mistake of a single millimeter means a part fails, a surgical device malfunctions, or a vehicle breaks down. Running a precision shop teaches you a fundamental truth about life. When something isn't right, you don't panic and smash the machine. You stop, you measure the variance, you find the root cause, and then you fix it. I stepped off the loud shop floor into the quiet hallway and answered. My wife of 26 years didn't say hello. She didn't ask how my day was going. She didn't even ask if I was alone. The very first words out of her mouth were, "I just inherited millions. Pack your things. Get out of my house." 26 years of marriage, raising a daughter, sharing a life, building a home. And that was how she chose to open the conversation. My name is Tom Wood. I am 55 years old. I started wood precision manufacturing back in 1996 with one used CNC lathe, a $14,000 business loan, and a work ethic inherited from a father who worked 30 years in the rubber factories. My wife, Gail, was 53. To anyone on the outside, we had a comfortable suburban life. A 4-bedroom brick home in a quiet subdivision, fully paid off, appraised at nearly $500,000. Both our names were on the deed. Both our names were on every account. Over 26 years, nearly every dollar of that mortgage had come from the checks I signed from my business. "I'll be home at 6 o'clock, Gail said, her voice completely devoid of emotion. "My attorney has already drawn up the divorce papers and the property settlement. I expect your bags packed and your keys on the counter before I walk through the door." "I'll be there at 6, Gail," I said quietly. What Gail didn't know, what she couldn't possibly have guessed, was that I didn't panic. I didn't yell. Because for the past 18 months, I had already been quietly measuring the distance between us. And 3 weeks before her phone call, I had received another call from a man who knew her far better than she realized. Gail had an uncle named Walter Harmon. Walter was 79 years old, a retired commercial real estate developer from Cleveland. He was a self-made man, sharp as a tack, gruff on the surface, but deeply observant. He had no children of his own. He liked Gail, but over 25 years of family dinners, he had developed a quiet, genuine respect for me. He saw how hard I worked, how I treated people, and how I kept my head down when Gail's family put on airs. 3 weeks before Gail's phone call, Walter called me from a private room at Cleveland Clinic. He was dealing with severe congestive heart failure, his breath shallow, but his mind completely clear. "Tom," he said, his voice slow and heavy. "My estate attorney finished the final codicils to my will yesterday. Gail is going to inherit the bulk of the liquid estate, around $1.4 million after taxes." "Walter, you don't need to tell me your private affairs," I said gently. "Listen to me, Tom," Walter interrupted, his tone dead serious. "I know my niece. And more importantly, I know what she's been doing behind your back. I put protections in place in my estate documents. Protections for you. She doesn't know about them. When that money hits her account, she is going to make a sudden move. She thinks wealth is an exit ramp." He paused, taking a ragged breath before continuing. "When she makes her move, Tom, do not fight her in the living room. Do not argue. Document every single detail from this exact moment forward. Take photos, keep timestamps, and call my estate lawyer, Arthur Vance. Be ready." 8 days after that conversation, Walter passed away quietly in his sleep. Gail spent the next week putting on a display of grief for the family, but I watched her eyes. She wasn't mourning her uncle. She was waiting for the probate court to release the check. And I spent those same 3 weeks doing what any good machinist does. I prepared the blueprint. I already knew about Derek Colby. Derek was a 50-year-old regional sales manager for a building supplies firm, a smooth talker with 2 former wives and a lease on a luxury German sedan he couldn't afford. Gail had met him at a charity gala in late 2021. For 18 months, she believed she was being covert. But in a small city like Akron, secrets leak like bad gaskets. I had date-stamped hotel receipts, credit card statements, and detailed logs of her sudden, overnight trips. I didn't confront her. Confrontation gives the other side time to hide their tracks. I simply filed the evidence in a secure folder on an external hard drive stored in my office safe. When I pulled into the driveway at 5:45 p.m. that Thursday, Gail's car was already parked in the garage. I walked through the front door into the home we had built together over 2 decades. Gail was standing by the dining table, wearing a formal navy blazer I had never seen before, her arms crossed over her chest. On the mahogany table sat a thick manila folder. Next to it lay a heavy Mont-Blanc pen, positioned carefully like a prop in a theater production. "You're right on time," she said flatly. "I always am, Gail," I replied, setting my briefcase down. She pointed a manicured finger at the table. "Inside that folder is a complete property settlement and a mutual divorce agreement. My attorney prepared it today. You waive your claim to this house. You waive any claim to my inheritance, and I waive any claim to your machining shop. Sign all 3 copies, leave your house keys, and we can settle this without messy court filings." I walked over to the table, picked up the folder, and opened it. I turned through the pages slowly. Having run a business for nearly 30 years, I know what legal documents look like. I looked at the header. No court filing stamp, no county docket number, no notary seal. These weren't court-ordered documents. They were just typed pages, an aggressive bluff designed to panic me into signing away my rights before I had time to consult a lawyer. I pulled my smartphone from my pocket, stepped back, and began taking clear, high-resolution photographs of every single page. "What on earth are you doing?" Gail snapped, her voice tightening with irritation. "Just sign it and get out." "Measuring, Gail," I said calmly, taking a photo of the final page. "Just documenting the variance." She scoffed, crossing her arms tighter. "You're pathetic, Tom. You've always been a boring, small-minded mechanic. I have a new life starting, and you're just an obstacle in the way." I didn't yell. I didn't defend my work or my character. I picked up the Mont-Blanc pen, flipped to the signature line, and signed all 3 copies of her unfiled agreement. Gail blinked, completely stunned. She had rehearsed a dramatic shouting match in her head, preparing to accuse me of being stubborn or abusive. Watching me sign, without a single word of protest, threw her completely off script. I set the pen down, looked her straight in the eye, and said 3 words. "Good luck, Gail." "That's it?" she stammered, looking at the signed pages. "You're just walking away?" "Good luck," I repeated softly. I walked upstairs, packed 2 suitcases with my clothes, grabbed my laptop, and retrieved the secure hard drive from my nightstand. As I walked back down the stairs, I heard Gail on her phone in the kitchen, her voice raised in excitement. Derek? It's done. He signed everything without a fight. He's loading his car right now. I walked out the front door, shut it quietly behind me, and drove straight to an extended stay hotel where I had booked a suite 2 weeks prior. That evening, I called our 24-year-old daughter, Cassie, who was living in Columbus working as an associate accountant. Gail had already called her earlier, trying to spin a narrative that your father and I have simply grown apart and decided to separate amicably. I sat at the hotel desk and gave Cassie the complete, unvarnished truth. The 18-month affair, Uncle Walter's warning call, the unfiled ultimatum, and the legal steps I was taking. Cassie was quiet for a long moment over the phone. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I noticed Mom acting strange months ago, but I didn't want to believe it. What are you going to do now?" "We measure before we cut, Cassie," I told her. "Tonight, I run the full audit." For the next 5 hours, sitting under the harsh fluorescent lights of the hotel room, I logged into our joint banking portals and reviewed 12 full years of personal financial statements. Because I had focused entirely on running the machine shop, Gail had managed our personal household accounts. As I cross-referenced the monthly deposits from my shop salary against our actual mortgage and utility payments, a glaring pattern emerged. Starting in early 2019, 4 full years ago, regular, unexplained wire transfers had been leaving our joint checking account. They ranged from $600 to $4,000 at a time, almost always hitting within 48 hours of me depositing a large business dividend bonus. Where had the money gone? I traced the destination account numbers. Every single transfer had been sent directly to an account owned by Gail's mother, Patricia Harmon, who lived in an upscale retirement community in Cleveland. Total amount transferred out of our marital bank accounts over 4 years, $178 per hundred. Under Ohio domestic relations law, secretly transferring marital funds to a third party without your spouse's knowledge or consent is classified as marital waste and financial fraud. At 1:30 a.m., I opened an email that had been forwarded to me directly by Uncle Walter's estate attorney, Arthur Vance. Attached were the certified copies of Walter's updated estate trust documents. When I read the two specific provisions Walter had added 3 weeks before his death, I let out a long, quiet breath. Provision 1 asterisk if Gail would initiated divorce proceedings or separated from her husband within 24 months of receiving her inheritance, half of her liquid inheritance, $700,000, was automatically locked into a strict spendthrift trust managed by an independent corporate trustee. She could only draw a modest monthly allowance for basic health and living expenses. Not a single dollar could be used to purchase real estate, pay off third-party debts, or be transferred to romantic partners. Provision 2 asterisk a direct, unconditional bequest of $85,000 awarded directly to me, Tom Wood, described explicitly in Walter's will as asterisk, compensation for 26 years of steadfast integrity and devotion to the family. Asterisk. Uncle Walter hadn't just built a fence around her inheritance. He had laid a landmine right where he knew she would step. The next morning, I met with my longtime business attorney, Roger Castillo. Roger listened intently as I laid out the timeline, the photographs of Gail's unfiled contract, the spreadsheet documenting the $178,400 in marital waste, the evidence of her affair with Derek Colby, and the certified trust documents from Walter's estate. Roger leaned back in his leather chair and smiled slowly. Tom, your wife walked into this battle thinking she was playing checkers. You've already checkmated her before she even filed her complaint. On Monday morning, Roger filed our official complaint for divorce in the Summit County Domestic Relations Court. We filed first. We attached the complete $178,400 marital waste claim, demanded a 60/40 equitable division of the marital home, and served formal notice of Uncle Walter's trust restrictions directly to Gail's attorney. 48 hours later, the storm hit. Gail's attorney called Roger in a panic. Gail had attempted to withdraw $500,000 from her inheritance account to purchase a luxury lakefront condo with Derek Colby, only to find the funds frozen by the corporate trustee pursuant to Walter's estate clause. Her own phone call to me on Thursday, telling me to pack my things because she had inherited millions, had legally triggered the 24-month divorce restriction. Furthermore, because of the $178,400 in secret money she had funneled to her mother, the court ordered that her share of the marital home's equity be reduced dollar for dollar to reimburse me for the stolen marital assets. When Derek Colby discovered that Gail's millions were locked in a 5-year restricted trust paying only a modest monthly stipend, and that she was facing massive legal debts to cover financial waste, his romantic enthusiasm vanished overnight. By late October, he had blocked her number and moved on to his next prospect. Gail called me one evening in November, her voice shaking, breaking down in tears over the phone. Tom, please, she sobbed. We were married for 26 years. How could you do this to me? How could you turn Uncle Walter against me? I stood by the window of my hotel suite, looking out at the autumn rain over Akron. I didn't turn anyone against you, Gail, I said softly. I just measured what was off. You chose to break the tolerance. I just recorded the result. The divorce was finalized the following February. The court ordered the sale of our 4-bedroom home. After the 60/40 division and the marital waste credits were applied, I received over $380,000 from the house sale. Combined with Uncle Walter's direct $85,000 bequest and my share of our joint investments, I walked away with nearly $550,000 in cash, completely clear of debt. Gail kept her restricted trust allowance, enough to rent a modest 2-bedroom apartment across town, and her remaining share of the house proceeds. Her dreams of a jet-setting lifestyle with Derek Colby were gone forever. I took my share of the settlement and bought a modern, 2-bedroom condo overlooking a quiet park near my shop. I paid for it entirely in cash. No mortgage, no co-signers, no joint accounts. That spring, Wood Precision Manufacturing signed 2 major commercial aerospace contracts. I hired a new VP of operations, gave my shop foreman the largest annual bonus in company history, and expanded our facility by 6,000 square feet. One Saturday morning in May, my daughter Cassie came to visit my new condo. We sat on the balcony with hot mugs of coffee, watching the morning sun illuminate the oak trees in the park. "Dad," Cassie said, looking at me with a soft smile. "You look 10 years younger." "I feel quiet, Cassie," I said. For 26 years, I was carrying a background noise I didn't even realize was there. Now, the machine is running smooth. She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Mom thought she could discard you like an old part. She forgot that you're the one who knows how everything is built." I smiled, taking a sip of coffee. Uncle Walter's $85,000 gift sits untouched in a separate high-yield account. Every time I look at that balance, I don't think about the divorce, or the affair, or the greed. I think about an old man in a hospital room who looked at a hard-working mechanic and decided that integrity was worth protecting. Gail told me good luck the night she tried to kick me out of my own life. She thought luck was something you stumble into when money falls from the sky. What she never understood is that in life, just like in the shop, luck has nothing to do with it. You measure before you cut. You verify before you trust. And when you build your life on a foundation of quiet truth, no storm can ever tear it down. If this story reminded you that calm integrity will always outlast loud deceit, leave the word precision in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in our next story.